G'day YouTube, welcome back to my channel Bonsai Works. I thought today I'll do a video where it's a very random video because it's little jobs that I'm doing in spring that I am just getting done because I need to get them done. They're usually 5-minute video, 5-minute work, sometimes even less. But I want to show you something that, it's sometimes you can be bored, but sometimes you walk through your trees and go, okay, I've got to do that. So many little jobs. So well, first I'll start on this black pine. Now, this is a lovely little fat base. You can see how small that is. Very fat base pine with a little branch here into here that I've twisted up. And I'm trying to grow. Ultimately, I want to grow a little mini with this huge fat base. But what I've decided to do is, the other thing is, it's got an awesome sacrifice branch right here. So the sacrifice branch here is helping fatten up the base. So leaving that alone, what I decided to do, because I found that this is starting to weaken too much, this smaller that I want to keep, it's very weak. This was all the foliage that was up here growing on top. So heaps amount of foliage, right? I go, screw it. I'm just going to chop it all off and gin that bit. So all this was removed because I couldn't be bothered. I didn't want to weaken that branch anymore. So I want to direct energy into there. And I got rid of all this. So that was one of the quick job that I did. Also just ginned this area here and letting it dry out now. Probably not going to have the whole gin, probably have just small eventually, but just want to show you that that's what I ultimately did. I want to have a nice little fat. See how fat that is? Just got to get that a bit thicker and grow this. This is probably a sacrifice as well for this. I just want to keep all this. There's so many little buds in here, which is what I want. Just get this little bit healthy. So you can see it's only small, but it's an odd job. It's a 5-minute job that chop, gin, and then you go on to the next thing. So that's for one quick little job that I've done in spring, just to show you that, in one day you can go outside, have a look at some trees, get some little jobs done. So this is job number one. I'll show you some other things that I've done as well. So this tree is the next job that I quickly also did, probably a bit more than 5 minutes. What it was is a trunk maple that I had for sale last year and no one ended up buying it. So I thought I'd do some work on it and improve it. So it's got a really awesome Nabari, really fat base. I mean, that's a really decent, that's my hand there. So you can see how big that base is. Really interesting tree, but all the branching was kind of not doing anything. So I tried to restyle it into a 1, 2. So ultimately this will be a build up to a canopy, and this will ultimately build up to a canopy. So very quick little job. Also cleaned all the moss off the trunk so you can actually get to see the Navari better, which is interesting. Really nice tree. Starting to like this now. So sometimes it's good that you don't sell a tree because you actually can reinvest some time, get it looking good. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. It's come up all right. Just by spending a bit of time on it. Really, it's nothing that I could show you that would have been good in just a single video. But as a a lot of things together, this came up all right. Nice, quick, easy tree to do. Pretty much already had the trunks. And pretty much, I didn't really remove much branching except at the top, just reduced it a bit and just wired all the branches. So you've seen me do that, I don't know, hundreds of times probably now, of just wiring. So wiring 2 canopies separately, but they all overall will look nice as a maple. So that's another tree that I've done. When I came out, spent like half an hour on it, probably, about half an hour maybe maximum, and got it all done. Okay, next thing I've done. All right, the other thing I did is this English elm. It was actually, it's really nicely flushed out for starters, but it was becoming this is probably the front, or is the front that I like in the tree. So I've always said in this area so you can see into there, and have a good look at it. But the main issue was that now the back in here, you can see it's still quite heavy, but it was out here. It was pretty much out here at the back. So I've reduced this heavily. Still probably actually need to get a bit more in here now that I look at it. But pretty much I wanted to get, it was getting too, what's a pom-pommy in terms of one just big, huge mass. I wanted to separate it. So I'm trying to get a bit of separation. Overall, I want the tree to be quite, like a big, nice, full deciduous tree. But I still want the definition of some of the pads to really start to, even this side. So this is almost like a little tree on its own. Probably have to reduce the height a little bit there, Just realised, let me just reduce that as I see it. So just reduce it a little bit. But overall, I wanted some sort of more definition a little bit before I get the overall big shape into it. It looks better in person. It looks a bit two-dimensional in the camera. It looks very nice and full canopied wide, but this gives you a much more natural looking deciduous tree as well. If I had the full broom, it kind of loses its structure a little bit. This way I'm trying to define the pads. There's one in here, got the apex, got this side, got these few branches in here, looking good. Yeah, but as I said, the main issue was all this was right out here. It was quite long and extended. We don't need that much. I'll work on this a bit more. I want to get this down a little bit more too. It's probably a bit too much foliage still. But you can do that now, work now. I mean, it's spring, this thing will grow like mad. It's an English elm, for goodness sake, so they just boom. So I was reducing that quite heavily and pretty much going through it in that kind of process. So yeah, so there's don't be scared to reduce trees, because now that they've opened up, you can actually see what you want to keep and not keep. So little odd jobs like that. So that's what I've just done, tried to push all this foliage back so that I can have a better focus on this side of the tree, because we don't, the back branches are just for depth. So that's another little job that I did. All right, so I haven't shown you this maple before. It's a Japanese maple with a very interesting history. It's in a, I'll show you close up of the pot in a minute, but the pot's there. But you'll notice that it's got cracks and it's got a broken bit on the left-hand side. It's got cracked in the middle and so on. There's all good reasons for it, and I'll tell you through the story. This tree survived. If you're in Melbourne, you know the Warrandyte fires a number of years ago burnt through Warrandyte, an area in Melbourne, north of Melbourne. And this tree used to be a much bigger Japanese maple with a full trunk. Now you can see it's half dead, it's carved out, dead wood as a feature. And then the trees come back to life on that nice single trunk there, if you can see. So this tree survived the Warrandyte bushfires. And I was lucky enough to pick this up from the owner who it survived from. And I've got it in my collection, and it was just getting a bit too overgrown, a bit too out of control. There was lots of dead bits starting to happen on it as well. But now it's more of you can kind of see it's a bit wild, but it's a really nice Japanese maple. Like, it's a nice structured maple, like very flowy and simple and quite elegant in its own right. Coming back to life, after dying, it actually looks really quite pleasant and quite soothing to look at. It's not like there's no wire on it. So it's purely just being clipped and grown by me. Just removing, there's lots of issues with it. You got long branches, long internodes, some areas, but it really works in this case. There's no, I don't know, it's not contrived. It's very natural in a way. And I just like it. It's a very easy piece to look at. Very, you could talk about it. Oh, look at that. Well, but you know what? It's very elegant. So it survived. It's a good story of surviving the Warrandyte bushfires. That pot is cracked because it survived the bushfire, and the previous owner put the pot back together using glue or whatever it is. And it just tells a good story about this tree. But yeah, just a nice natural looking tree that had to trim back quite heavily, had some dieback, had some branches had to go, things like that. But other than that, it's quite nice. The other tree I've been focusing my time on is this Trident maple, which you've seen in my collection quite a bit. But you can see it's starting to really come together well. Like, one thing I had to try and improve was there was quite a bit of a gap in here. So I've actually just moved some branches around and tried to fill in this gap. It's actually a bit of a hole in there, which you can't probably see from the front. Continually trimming this tree, continually. You can see it's already shooting out everywhere, but just trying to continually to get it full and denser. This is the area that I'm just trying to focus a bit more attention on, trying to get that filled out a little bit more in this area. It's lacking a bit more branching in here, needs to kind of fill out. I'm trying to make definition of this kind of branch. This is more of a fullness, and then I want to make a definition of branches in here. So just by having this area filled out, I can get these branches more filled out, and then that one can come in as well. So just small little things that I'm trying to work on to improve this a little bit better. It's all minor stuff. That's, as I said, it only takes a 5-minute job here and there to continually improve this tree, or all your trees. All right, this is another kind of interesting tree because it belongs to one of our lovely members of the club, Pear and Lola Anderson. They've had it for years and years, and it got attacked by wood borers and pretty much destroyed a lot of this trunk, hollowed out the tree. See the big hollow in there now. Almost killed off this branch. But I've had it for a while now and tried to get it to recover, and it's doing really well now. It's got new branching in here, new branch grew, new branches have grown in the top, and so on. And I let it go wild for a year, and it had branches everywhere. And then it was just simply a matter of trying to create something interesting with it. So I've left the main trunk up here. That's all that. I'm never going to get anything down here because this is all dead. So I'm just trying to wire some branches down to get it into a position, trying to create an apex, trying to create, a little tree on this side. Got a tree at the back happening that's survived, bit of foliage, a bit of live vein on that side. This side's dead. This is a new sucker that's grown here. So I'm creating another little side tree in here. So again, nice little quick job. Pretty much trim back and wire, wiring into a design, but it's a nice simple job. The pot's a lovely old Japanese pot like that. That also belongs to Lola. So very nice, very healthy, and should be a good little tree in the future. She calls it a pasha pear, so I'm thinking some sort of ornamental pear, if you want to know what the tree is. It has thorns, so hopefully that means something. Now here's another trident maple, quite a nice tree, very nice base. You can see it's a very small tree, but the size of its trunk is pretty decent, or its base anyway. But you can see the main issue. It did lose a branch in here, and you can see how much of an issue that is now caused. So what I've done is heavily reduce all the foliage. This was I let it grow probably too much, and this is it's a bit too flat at the moment and a bit too heavy. But I need to reduce it, try and encourage some of these ones which are starting to grow. I don't know why I lost that branch. I lost one right in here, which is perfect. I've got some young small ones happening, but I just need to encourage those to grow. Don't trim any of these branches that are in here. Let them grow wild. Might even get some side ones from here growing that way. Just got to encourage this area to grow because it needs it. So it was just a matter of reducing heavily. Also reduced a lot of the back area. You can see it's quite nice and healthy at the back. Probably gets lots of light in there too. But unfortunately, that's the back. It would be good, but it's all leaning that way. It's got this barrel thing that's looking that way. So unfortunately, I can't use that as a front, but let's try and work on getting branches in here. I will need to wire some around. So that's my next 5-minute job. Wire some of these around, try and fill in this gap and make it a bit longer in here because there's a huge gap right in here. Okay, but that's another job I'll do. So there's a 5-minute job that I need to do while looking at this tree again. I just need to get some wire on it. So the last tree I'm going to show you what I did was this beautiful Shinjip juniper. It's quite a decent size trunk, got some massive movement, massive bend in here, then another bend in here, twisted. Now the problem was this branch was this way, so I was creating almost horizontal. So really was annoying. So for the future, this tree I had to change. At least get some wire on this branch, bend it upwards a bit, and I put a little bit of a brace in there to push this even further up. So that's just something very quick and simple. It's a 5-minute job that just enabled me to fix up an issue with this tree. It's not ready to be styled because the trunk isn't in the right position. But at least I've got now the rest of the growing season to try and get that bit going up like that way, because I can create a tree out of it, do something different with it, use these to make something nice and a feature of this tree, maybe tilt it more this way or that way. It gives me more options rather than having a horizontal. So in this way, I fixed up a real issue for this tree. It's a really good little piece of stock, but needed to fix up that issue. This one, unfortunately, is very straight here. When I was going to use it to create a tree, it's not going to really work. So I just cleaned up the bottom bit here. There was little tufts of foliage. because I'll probably airlay that in the future, having another little tree out of it, because I really want to focus on all these beautiful bit of movement around. I didn't want to create a big gin if I just used that, so really had to think of correcting this. So correcting something is a 5-minute job that you just, once you study a tree, you can actually do it. So that's the little 5-minute jobs that I keep talking about that you can do. Keep an eye on your trees all the time. Can you fix this? Have a look at your trees, study your trees. Also look at trees that you're going to style in the future. Can things be started now? Like, can you do one job on it that can be done to help it along the way? So when I get to styling this, I don't have to worry about bending this bit back and fixing that horizontal. I hope that makes sense. So have a look at your trees, everyone. Look through your garden, pick out what you need to do, and do those little jobs to just enhance your trees. Thanks for watching, everyone. I'll see you next time.